Are you ready to listen to my dad Joe and Uncle Justin talk about sports? Now on with the show.
The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop, which have been serving the greater West Lawn area delicious food for over 70 years.
So get ready! I mean, get ready! Are you ready for some football?
You are listening to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. A weekly podcast about sports since 2011. With a focus on football. Now, here are your hosts, Joe Mays and Justin Raffoff.
Well, good evening, everyone, and welcome back to the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. That's right, this is the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. Last week was the Bulldog Hour. We did Season 12 kickoff, the premiere first episode of our, believe it or not, Justin, 12th season for our other show that is now... I was thinking about this. The players on the Wilson football team this coming fall were entering first grade when we started the Bulldog Hour, or restarted the Bulldog Hour.
Dude, just the tip of the iceberg of things that make me feel old. Yeah, I'll tell you some more of those that just came up this weekend after the show.
You mean talking about our college dorm situations with Kelly before this show right now didn't trigger that at all?
Dude, I'm telling you, it's just been a lot lately that makes me feel old.
20 years ago this May, you graduated from Duquesne, right?
Yeah.
See, Kelly and I got a whole nother year till we get to say that.
Which is really weird when you think about, like, I don't know, and you'll understand this, but, like, I have that, like, group of friends that just texted the other day, like the group that met up at the beach a few years ago, just texted the other day because the guy who has been nicknamed Kareem Abdul-Jabbar, I don't know, the college basketball player.
Yeah.
So his picture, I need to find this. The one picture, the one buddy in the group was like, wait, Raffoff got really good at college basketball? I got to find this because I'm not saying the poor kid looks like me. I'm just saying.
You wouldn't wish that on anyone? Is that what you're saying?
I'm saying.
All right, hold on. Let me pull this out. You can show the camera here.
Yeah.
Oh, yes. Oh, yeah, look at that. Like, I clearly know it's not.
Right.
And honestly, I've seen a picture of him before, and it didn't dawn on me. I wasn't like, why can't I place him? But I do understand that if you do a quick pass, especially because the glasses you have on look very similar.
When did Raffoff get so good at basketball?
And who does he play for? It's one of those mid-majors, right?
Indiana State, I think.
Yes. Yeah.
Which
I was going to say has a pretty significant alumnus.
Yes. Larry Bird.
Larry Bird, right.
Yeah.
Which is funny now.
Because this guy's other nickname is Larry Nerd.
Larry Nerd, right. Larry Bird now has come up in conversation twice today, which is
Larry
very
Legend,
random
baby.
Because obviously not a Celtics fan, not really a big basketball person in general, especially NBA. But Kelly and I were perusing TikTok videos earlier today, and there was an account where I don't know if it's husband, wife, or boyfriend, girlfriend, but he's quizzing his significant other of athletes that she should know. Like,
okay.
you know, they do this with celebrities or movie stars or music for a lot of time for guys because it's like, why don't you know who this is? Well, he was turning the tables and doing this for his girlfriend or wife or whatever, and was like, these are athletes you should know. And I saw the first attempt at this, and I got to be honest, he put ones on his list that I could not identify, and it's just like a headshot. It's not them in uniform. It's just the headshot. But he did a lot of NBA. And I get the basics. I know the basics. But and especially he was getting more regional or team focused, and it's not Philadelphia. So
Right.
I was really grasping at straws. But there were a few in that first that I was like, I feel like she probably should have known that. But he apparently got flack in the comments saying you got to give her the layups. You got to see like how misinformed
Right.
she actually is. So this time the video was of LeBron James and Tiger Woods,
Right.
and they were, and Kelly was sitting right there as we're watching this,
Right.
and she
More
was.
like the guys that kind of start to cross that sports into the cultural
Yes,
icon.
exactly.
Yes.
And the woman in the video did pretty good. There were a couple she didn't get. Kelly got them all fairly quickly, but then there was one at the end, and it's funny because the girl being quizzed got it, but it was literally someone I've never heard of. But again, it was like regional basketball,
Okay,
like
yeah.
whatever team. His name was Gigi something.
Okay.
And I was like, I said to Kelly, I was like, I've literally never heard of this person in my entire life. But all the other ones were simple, and Kelly got them, and the girlfriend got most of them. There were a few that she was a little off on. But Kobe Bryant was on there.
Right.
But it was like big time. And we mentioned Larry Bird. Larry Bird came up.
yeah.
That's why bring this whole full circle conversation. So, but welcome to the Joe Mays and J-Raff show. Here we are for episode 435. We are going to continue to talk baseball. We're actually going to do our Phillies preview, kind of a baseball preview. I don't know enough about all of the teams to maybe call this a full baseball preview. We're going to keep
will
it pretty
discuss
Philly
the other
specific.
stuff, but-
Sure. But the NFL, I feel like we know enough about all 32 teams that we can do full predictions for the whole year. Obviously, we know more about some of the teams, but I feel we have a basic knowledge of the offseason and the expectations for all the NFL squads to do a full preview. I don't feel that comfortable in baseball. There are probably some teams that I couldn't even name a player that's on their team. And I know for the Miami Marlins, that's pretty much normal, but there's a few other teams that I would be hard-pressed to probably pick out a player until I saw the roster and be like, oh, of course, they're on that team. But Phillies-wise, we'll be okay Phillies-wise.
Yeah.
So we're going to break that down. First, we are going to start, though, with some other baseball, which is the final showing of the World Baseball Classic. And if we have some time, we may talk NFL offseason. But really, Justin, I want to start somewhere completely different and get kind of the shout-outs and mentions done at the beginning of the show. First, want to say congratulations to the Penn State women's hockey team.
Yes.
They had their best season ever as a professional, not professional, but, Division I non-club ice hockey program. They took the number 2 team in the nation, the Wisconsin Badgers, to overtime at Pagula on Friday night. And I had said to you, Justin, was it Friday during the day or Thursday?
It was Friday during the day.
Friday during the day, I said the women's national hockey, the championship game tickets are only $40. And if Penn State wins tonight, it's going to take a lot for me not to buy tickets to that. Because where can you say I went to the national championship for $40?
Yeah, that's pretty good deal.
Especially at a somewhat, a modern facility for sure, but a somewhat newer. I know it's over a decade old now, but
Yeah, but it doesn't feel that way when you walk in.
and I've never been there.
Yeah,
So it would have been
really
cool to be
nice.
like, I was at the Women's Frozen Four national championship game, which is probably about over if it's not right now. And it was, unfortunately, for Penn State, Wisconsin, and Ohio State, who I think were 1-2 almost the entire season. But Penn State took Wisconsin to overtime, unfortunately, and penalty, early power play in overtime, and the women lost. Of course, Wisconsin is stacked, has 4 or 5 Team USA representatives on the
Right.
squad, including Caroline Harvey, who I believe was MVP of the Winter Olympics and was voted the best player in women's college hockey. She also has Layla Edwards by her side and at least 2 more, I believe, Team USA teammates. And Penn State has just, quote, Tessa Janicki from the American perspective.
Right,
they
right.
had a woman who played with Team Italy and 2 who played for Team Sweden. But Tessa Janicki had herself a game, 2 goals, including the game-tying goal. So fantastic season from the Penn State women's hockey team, and I showed this a few weeks ago. I'll show it again. I got my Tessa autograph from Olympic Tops cards that just came out, and actually Justin and I were at 610 Collectibles today. Unfortunately, their last day in business as a physical store. So thanks to John for all the times that he's helped us out and got stuff together for our kids to enjoy, but also for us to enjoy. And I got some Olympic blaster today and got to open those cards. And I got another Tessa Janicki card, not an autograph, but another card of Tessa Janicki. So that is here on my desk with a variety of Team USA and Phillies cards as well. So that was the first thing I wanted to mention, Justin, was the Penn State women's hockey on a successful season. And also the men's team made the men's Frozen Four tournament, which gets underway Friday in northern New York. I think they're in Albany. Penn State is. They're one of 4 teams there. They're
Which
the
is not
3
a bad
seed.
drive from Penn State.
No,
Like
they
State
have to
College.
play the 2 seed Minnesota Duluth, I believe.
Yeah, this is tough.
Tough draw for them, and they've been struggling of late, but hopefully they can pull it off and do the unthinkable and maybe make it back to the Frozen Four. But they got to get through Minnesota Duluth on Friday, and then they'd have to win the region on Sunday for that to happen. But another very good season from them. So anything else, Justin? Anything that I'm forgetting? I feel like there was
Just the
something else.
wrestling.
Yes, obviously, yes. Penn State wrestling. Well, why don't you're the wrestling guy? Let's
okay.
let you
So,
handle that one.
Penn State wrestling, and look, I want to preface this with it's just absolutely absurd. The run, if you want to call it that, the dynasty that has become Penn State wrestling. They had 4 individual national champions, and for the 3rd year in a row, they set the record for the team points score, like the team score points.
You
like,
know,
for the
Justin,
tournament.
I didn't want them to do it this year.
3 years.
You
in a
know
row.
why? Because that means we didn't get to see them
Right,
do
right.
it. We saw them do it last year.
It's absolutely insane, the run they are on. To have individual success, to have the amount of team success, just is unbelievable. I think they've won 5 national championships in a row, and they have won 13 of 15. And I believe 19 in a row for the Big Ten. It's just absolutely amazing what Cael Sanderson has done at Penn State. And again, we say it all the time for our Penn State football coverage and things like that, but Audrey Snyder nailed it with her article about Cael and Penn State leading into the weekend. And it also links in her article to some of her former works about Cael's success at Penn State and building that program and how it came to be and all of that stuff. I was going to text you and Adam today as Iowa State blew the doors off of Kentucky today, and Iowa State lost their best player a couple minutes into their round 1 game.
Right.
And they're still looking really good. But anyway, I was like, Penn State has a chance to do the absolute most hilarious thing ever and lure their basketball coach away from Iowa State. I say that jokingly. I don't know that there's any kind of money that could get the Iowa State basketball coach to leave Iowa State to come to Penn State for basketball.
Right. Yeah. Oh my
But
gosh.
I just mean that in
Penn
we
State's
got
down bad.
Cael Sanderson away from Iowa State, his alma mater.
Yep.
And then we hired Matt Campbell for football.
right.
Like, so it was just kind of like that joke. But what Cael Sanderson has done at Penn State, I also thought about sending you this of if Matt Campbell has 25% of the success that Cael Sanderson has had,
Yeah. I'll take it.
I would sign up for that
In a heartbeat,
immediately.
yeah.
Immediately. Where do I sign?
Dude, I would take 1/10.
Yes. It's just absolutely amazing. They have a stacked recruiting class coming in. Oh, and they only lose 1.
Right. They have 9
now,
back,
again,
right?
9 guys have eligibility remaining.
Do they all come back, right?
Right. You might have guys leaving.
Well,
you
because
might have
Levi's
guys
the only
coming
one
in.
gone for good,
Levi's
right?
the only one that has no eligibility left. And from the sounds of it, it sounds like he kind of wants to stay and train and maybe be on staff.
Well, that's what
like
Nick Lee is doing,
Nick
right?
Lee is doing right
Yeah.
now. Right. And that's all part of that culture that Cael has built. That's just absolutely insane. But you also have like a world champion who redshirted this year.
From Japan.
From Japan, yeah. So it's just the future is bright. The current is very, very bright as well. It's just insane.
From the little bit I gathered on Twitter X last night and today, that they still think Penn State's a shoo-in next year, but that they really do think David Taylor and Oklahoma State will give them pause or push them big time in 2028, because you saw 3 freshmen from Oklahoma State win
Right.
national titles. One of them controversially beat a Penn State, it was PJ Duke, right? was
that was in the
Robideau.
semi.
In the semi,
Yes,
sorry, in the semis, yes. But hey, and I saw a lot of people, I don't know, Penn State fans getting, don't want to hear it, and people calling it a rivalry before they've won anything,
Right.
and they're right about that too. But you gotta beat the best to be the best,
Right.
and that's why last night I was watching, and Haley was sitting with me, and kind of like, well, who do we want here? And it was, it was Nebraska versus Oklahoma State. It was Taylor against Robideau.
Yeah.
And I wasn't sure how to answer because it
Right.
was like, I mean, they're both, one's a Big Ten school,
Right.
but the other has a Penn State legend
Right.
leading the program. And I finally said, I was like, we're rooting for the orange one, even though,
Right.
I wasn't. It's not that he did anything wrong. That was an officials thing.
Right.
It is
Right.
what
Well,
it is.
and I said, like, get to your offense earlier. Get a takedown.
Yeah.
Like,
well, honestly, I mean, this isn't going to
So-
be a wrestling discussion all
No,
show,
no.
but there was a few times that Luke Lillidahl, I felt like they could have been a little bit more effective. But look, Mitchell Mesenbrink is on another level. Like
insane.
watching him wrestle that's what I want to see.
Right. And if you want to show somebody wrestling who doesn't
Show
watch
'em-
wrestling,
show 'em
that's what you want
Mesenbrink,
to show
yeah.
them because it's constant action.
But in like even Josh Barr, like I felt like they were very the low scoring
yeah.
matches. Like, but Mesenbrink got 4 takedowns in the first
Right.
period.
Right.
And got one pretty quickly in the second as well. I mean, he tech falled in the national championship.
It's insane. Absolutely
So,
insane.
and then a good old Iowa boys.
I was going to say, it was a performance worthy of a handshake.
But don't worry, the Brands boys on Iowa, there be sure to point out that he shook his hand at the end of the match. Yeah, he refused to shake it when he was literally shaking everyone else's hands on the podium, though.
It's fine.
Whew, all right, let's not go there. But yes, congratulations to Cale Sanderson and his Penn State Nittany Lion wrestling team. And as you heard, I think it was Mesenbrink. One of them, I can't remember which one it was. It could have been Levi Haynes too. He said the wrestling lives here, like during the interview. But yeah, I was bummed to see Shane Van Ness not get it.
I was talking in a little bit, man. Like, I love watching Shane, but like he's played with fire a number of times this year where he falls down and then like needs to come scrambling at the end.
Well, and lost to a 10 seed too. So
Yeah,
that was rough. That was probably the roughest of them all. But 4 national champions, 6 in the finals.
And that's the thing. That's kind of coming back to it. They not obliterated, but they set the team scoring record again. They had 4 individual national champions, and we're sitting here. They had 4 ones, 2 twos, and a 3,
And a 4.
and a 4, and we're like, it was good.
It could have been better. It could have been
absolutely
better.
absurd.
They're hitting 200 points, right? Like that's, like, I mean, that's insane. But it could happen. It could happen next year.
They could have.
They could have 8
like-
finalists and 6 champs.
Yeah. Well, like,
So are we
and
going
again,
to St. Louis?
it has reached. I know a guy. Actually, I know a couple guys now that I think about it. There's a chance. Like, oh my gosh, it's just it's absurd. It's really cool. Also, there's just some of the young wrestlers. Jax Forrest was wrestling high school at the beginning of the season.
Yeah.
Enrolls early at
In
Oklahoma State.
Pennsylvania, right? Isn't he a
think
McCourt
so.
guy?
I don't know. That
No?
is Bo.
Bartlett?
Yeah.
Right. Well,
But-
we don't talk about him here.
Jax Forrest, I forget where he was, but like he goes and enrolls and then just doesn't lose. But also one of the guys he beat in the semifinals, Aaron Seidel, is from Northern Lebanon, and he's a freshman too. In that weight class, the top 5 guys were all freshmen.
That's wild.
Yeah, and that's where it gets interesting too, especially with some of the lower weights and when they're freshmen is. Sometimes they don't stay at that weight. You get people shifting weights. The transfer portal for wrestling opens April 1st. So it'll be interesting to kind of see how it plays out. But Penn State is just incredible. They do what they do. It's established, and hopefully they can keep it rolling for a little bit here yet. And it's fun to watch.
5 in a row, 13 of the last 15. And there's a year in there that there was no winner.
Right.
So the only other winners besides Penn State were Iowa in 2021
Right.
and Ohio State in 2015. So Penn State went 4 in a row, Ohio State, 4 in a row, no championship, Iowa, but Penn State finished second and almost felt like
and had more individual champions than
because
Iowa.
Iowa was like, yeah, they got the team title, but
Right.
they were mad,
Right.
and that was with Spencer Lee and
DeSanto.
Austin DeSanto on that squad. And now Penn State's won 5 in a row, which we saw them win their third time winning 4 in a row. Last year in Philadelphia, they get here to 5 in a row.
We also got to see Carter Strachey,
five-time champion.
And then we saw the Gable Stevenson
We saw
upset.
Gable Stevenson lose. We saw Antrell Taylor win last year,
Yeah.
and then he loses this year. So we saw a good one. We saw a cool one at the time. They had set the event record for points by a team, which they now just broke, as Justin mentioned. But so yeah, congratulations to Penn State wrestling. Pretty awesome, and I hope they keep it going. Hope they best themselves next year, and I hope the haters keep hating because it was so great to hear all those boos.
Right. Well, and it takes me back to, and this is one of those iconic Penn State wrestling moments for me. The last time it was in Cleveland, I think it was 2018, but Bo Nickel was put onto his back, and the race was coming down to this match. Like the team race was coming down to the Bo Nickel match, and he gets put on his back by an Ohio State guy, and you see all the fans in the background jump up, and he rolls through and pins this guy in the first period. And it was just, and that's the iconic, like, you know, that's what we do here. You know, you come to Penn State, you win big matches, you know, we win national championship. Like, it was just incredible. Like, that's one of those moments that will be ingrained in my mind, sports memories, like, forever. And so to be back in Cleveland, yeah, it just awesome.
So your dad messaged us that Jax Forrest started the winter as a high school senior at Bishop McCourt.
Oh, I guess he was a Bishop McCourt. I didn't realize he went to McCourt.
So yeah, it's wild to think that that there are Pennsylvania wrestlers out there that are not at Penn State.
Bo Bartlett is older than some of the freshmen that won national titles this year.
Right.
Yeah,
he's going to Virginia Tech.
Yeah, he is. Who also had a decent showing at NCAAs.
My favorite part leading up to all of this was that you could not bet on who would win the national championship. Right. And this could be on one side, I don't know.
I think it was multiple sides.
You could not take Penn State.
No.
You had to choose who was going to finish second.
Right.
Who was going to, at the gambling sites, you could not bet on Penn State. Because, I mean, honestly, if they put it up there, the odds would be so astronomical. You'd be putting up so much money to win basically nothing.
It would be one of those where you have to put up like $10,000 to win like $50 or something
$100.
Like that.
Yeah. Well, I saw someone did that for one of the first round March Madness games, and the team. I think the team did end up winning, but he put like he called it like how to get like free lunch, and it was like he dropped $2,500 on like Duke or someone, and he was gonna win like $10. So he put up $2,500 to win $2,510. But it wasn't Duke losing in like the third quarter?
Yeah, they won by like single digits over Siena.
I think it was that. I could be wrong, but it happened.
That would make sense.
It just happened now. But speaking of March Madness, let's get to our bracket challenge, which I didn't get to promote it as much as I wanted. I posted a few times leading up to Thursday at noon, hoping to get as many as we have in the past. I think one year we got close to or maybe just surpassed 70, and right before the tournament started, like I want to say around 11:30, my dad asked me how many brackets did I have, and I had 54, which hey, it's my favorite number. I'm happy with that. Well, next thing I know, I think we ended up with like mid-60s. So a bunch of people got in near the end, which is awesome. So I thank everyone that joined. Again, it's the same offer it has been in many, many years. We added some qualifiers to it as some people were trying to take advantage of our generosity. So yes, you still have the opportunity to get a free show t-shirt. Sizes are limited. We've been doing this for a long time now, and I haven't bought new shirts in probably 12 years. I think these shirts, I got them around the time we were doing our 100th episode with Chad Henne, and that was back in 2013. So the shirts have been around a while. As long as I have a size you want, you get a shirt. If I don't have a size you want, I'm sorry. Last year,
you get the equivalent of an Iowa handshake.
That's right. That's the best we can offer. Andy Hoffer took one for his son, who I think finished second anyways. So he was happy to hand one off to his son because he had also won one 2 years earlier. So Andy's won it twice. But Yeah, so we got like 60 to 65 brackets, I think, entered, which is awesome. Leader right now after, 1.5 rounds or almost 2 rounds here with some games to go this evening, is currently LCD, our Wilson, speaking of Bulldog Hour, our Wilson football offensive line coach leads the way with Michigan as his champion. He's at 450 points and in the 99.4 percentile. So Brandon's doing quite well for himself. And then one person here, Dennis Dietrich, you know the name?
No.
Because I do not. I do not. So, Dennis, thank you for participating. I do feel like I've heard the name before in the bracket challenge. So, I believe Dennis has joined us in the past. I could be wrong, but I feel like it's a familiar name. He's in second with 440 points. And then we got 3 people tied in third. However, one of them did already lose their national champion in Gonzaga. But Coach Steve O'Neill of our Wyoming and Spartans fan pick Duke. He's tied for third at 430. And then I guess I can also say Coach Dan Hartzman also in here. He's got Arizona and tied for third.
Smart man.
As well. So former Wilson football player Alex Twyford is here at 6 with my daughter Natalie and also my niece Lisa. So, and unfortunately, I'm not rooting for Lisa because Corinne will bogart it and take it over. I did say, though, that these are non-transferable. So if that is indeed Lisa's bracket, Lisa is the guest. And because I'm her uncle, I do not need Corinne present. So Lisa can sit here next to Justin and I, and we can talk a topic of her choice that is approved by Justin and I, because that's how this works. But also your buddy Rob Tyson, tied at 6 with, guess what, Andy Hoffert. Also creeping in there. We're trying to be a third-time winner. Rob Tyson actually has 2 tied in 6th place right now. And I didn't skip over him, but I got to say, my dad's also in there. He's got Houston tied for 6th place I'm
going to say this, and not because I don't want him to win, but I feel like in terms of topics, I might be in trouble if your dad won.
I feel like he's going to pick a topic that I can't say no to, but you probably would want me to say no to.
Right.
Actually, I think he already gave me the topic, and I responded as you to give him to poke him about it. I forget what it was. He can text me. I know he's watching. So, Dad, if you remember the topic you were gonna have us discuss, send me a text, and I'll get Justin's actual reaction rather than my made-up response. Then lingering behind, just 10 points behind those in 6th place, is my cousin's son, Jameson, who is also
a
winner and been on the show before. Sean Hinkle, big-time Penn State hockey supporter, big-time Penn State supporter, but a big hockey guy. Then Brad, another of Andy Hoffert's, Pastor Chris Hardy, Sharon High, Brandon Dom's 2nd appearance, Dan Hartzman's 2nd appearance. So nowhere on here do I see you or me.
No, you got to
scroll.
There
I am.
The scrolling might break.
23rd. I'm 23rd, tied with your son, Austin, tied with my cousin Todd, tied with cheesesteak connoisseur Dustin Miller, who just had a cheesesteak named that he got the name. And look, there's your so hold on. So Austin, Colton.
Yes.
Andy Hoffert, number 3. Also, John Rogers, who's been a longtime listener of the show. And also our basketball analyst, who we haven't had on in a while, Adam Filer.
You're going to have to click the next page.
I need to go to page 2. And there you are, 31st. With Jamie.
But my champion's alive.
I think all champions are alive except Gonzaga. Oh, Corinne. Oh, no. What a shame. Oh, what a bummer that is. And unfortunately, my mom picked St. Mary's. Haley, not doing great. Haley was going by vibes. I guess she has a chance if UConn would advance. I see one other with UConn.
I feel like you could have manipulated that if you would have just shown her any video of Hurley. Would have changed her vibes.
So here's funny: if UConn would win, I think Uncle Rich will win. They're way down here.
Right.
Oh, no, actually, this is my aunt. I'm sorry. This is my aunt Diane.
Okay.
If UConn wins, I think Aunt Diane and Haley probably 1-2.
They'll skyrocket.
Unless their early rounds are that bad that the
Right.
championship doesn't get them to the top. I'm not sure. I think I probably have to scroll. Oh, no, the max is right there, the third column. So Haley can only get to 1,100 points. So it all depends on probably who UConn plays. So, but yeah, thanks to everyone who entered. It says group size 60. So there we are. I appreciate the people that joined us once again for our NCAA March Madness Bracket Challenge through ESPN. This is now our 16th year doing this. We celebrated 15 years back in February of the show. And this is the start of our 16th year, and that's our 16th March Madness. And we've had a lot of fun with this. It's probably our most popular thing we do each year, is that bracket challenge. So follow along. We'll update you next week with what's going on. All right, Justin, before we get to Phillies talk, let's just put a feather in the cap of the World Baseball Classic, which has certainly risen in spectacle and appreciation. It's been around for 20 years.
I did see a thing that was like, look what happens when you like make tickets like available. Like you get these wild dynamic crowds, not just in person, but you also ended up with great viewership numbers and everything. Like it is expanding, which is great. It's great for baseball. It's great for the World Baseball Classic.
Yeah, it was fantastic. Venezuela upset the U.S. in the final. So, once again, baseball, everyone thinks of it as an American sport, and the Americans are the ones that generally are seen as the best of the best. And I know in years before, they maybe haven't fielded the best of the best because of the time of the year that it takes place in the middle of MLB spring training. And this year was no different with insurance and teams being hesitant of allowing some players to play. I feel like the U.S., by and large, had most of their best guys. I know there's probably a handful they wish they could have had, or some they wish they could have had longer. But to me, honestly, I feel like the best, at least offensive group, was the Dominican Republic, which the U.S. did barely beat to get to the championship game in that controversial third called strike, which, where was ABS in this? You're bringing it to MLB. Why are you not using it in the World Baseball Classic?
It's because some of the stadiums weren't
the
prepared
technology.
for it. Right, yeah.
Sure, because MLB, you're required to now, and not all these games were played.
They said not just because of that, but they said they were hoping for the next time to have it.
Sure.
It just kind of came to a head there.
That's been one of the biggest negatives I've heard, or criticism. I shouldn't say negatives. Criticism of this is it's the World Baseball Classic. It is the World Championship of baseball. It is an automatic qualifier for the Olympics because baseball is back in 2028 in LA. But they feel it's too Americanized still. You had a pool playing in, was it Japan?
Yeah.
And then another in Puerto Rico, I believe. The people that are criticizing are saying, if this is the World Baseball Classic, why don't other countries host? And the clear reason for that is because your teams will not play if they're that far away from their spring training sites.
Right.
So you either have to do this at a different time of the year, like in place of the All-Star game in the summer, and take like 3 weeks off.
Not going to happen.
Or you have to have it mostly focused in North America and really southern United States. You could probably get away with attempting to do it in Mexico because, again, not too far away.
You also, you're right. You
the
need
Caribbean
places that have
nations
enough of the big stadiums,
and you also need the infrastructure.
Right.
You need the travel and lodging. So I understand the criticisms of it, but also it's not going to change. So you can move past. You have to move past that. This is the first time. I know it was pretty big in 2023, but this is probably the biggest and best U.S. squad probably ever in the 20 years.
Yeah.
I know it's not every year, but the 20 years of the World Baseball Classic existing. Because, I mean, you had Aaron Judge, you had Bryce Harper, you had you had literally the best pitcher and the best hitter in Major League Baseball, reigning Cy Young and MVPs, playing for Team USA. Now, there were a few areas that you felt maybe could be a little bit deeper, and the pitching staff, there's a lot of other pitchers that should have been there. For whatever reason, they didn't want to or couldn't be there. I know a lot of people are making issue with Tarek Skubal only throwing, so many innings, hitting that pitch count, and then not continuing because they obviously probably could have used him in the championship game. But all in all, I felt like it was a success. I watched every single Team USA game. I watched the final until I just couldn't anymore because I had to go to sleep for work the next day. I did see the Bryce Harper home run, but then once Venezuela scored in the top of the ninth to make it 3-2, I was like, I gotta go. I can't
So
wait
I
around.
had fallen asleep, and I wake up and see Bryce, but there were no like USA flag ones or anything like that, or trophy ones, and I was like, oh, we must have lost. Like I knew.
So I was hoping I was going to wake up that there was some comeback that Schwarber tied it because he was leading off the bottom of the ninth. But unfortunately, a pretty forgettable experience in the championship from Team USA batters, except for Bryce's 2-run home run.
Right.
Like that's literally it. That no one did anything else.
Yeah.
And Schwarber had moments throughout the tournament, but in this game came up short. Same thing with Aaron Judge.
There were a lot of the like.
Well, I texted you
Yes.
before. This is a few innings before the Harper home run. I said, Team USA is giving me Phillies October vibes.
Yeah.
You have this lineup that's supposed to be. You can't pitch to them because who do you pitch around?
Right.
They're some of the best hitters in the world, and they're doing nothing.
Right.
And this it just takes it up a notch because it was Schwarber and Harper, but it was freaking Aaron Judge.
What 0 for 5 in the game?
I think he had 3 or 4 strikeouts.
Yeah.
So did Schwarber, had
Right.
3 strikeouts. So I did I'm a fan of Bryce Terang and Gunnar Henderson. When I saw them in the first game, because I didn't know the rosters going into the games until I saw it. I knew Schwarber, Harper, and obviously Aaron Judge. I was surprised that Gunnar Henderson and Bryce Terang were on the team. I was like, there's not other American players. Not to say they're bad players and up and coming players, but there weren't established veterans that wanted to be selected to that team, or maybe they just weren't allowed. I don't know. PCA had a good World Baseball Classic. He was another guy I was like, wow, that's one of like the 4 or 5 best outfielders that the United States have is Pete Crow Armstrong. And look, he had a good WBC. Byron Buxton, there was just as much as there was a lot of USA talent there, it felt like there was a lot left on the bone. Especially the pitching is what stands out because clearly Paul Skeens amazing. You got partial Tarek Skubal, but who else stands out from the pitching staff of the dominance that you can see? So, I mean, I would like to see a full buy-in from Major League Baseball, from all of the Major League Baseball teams, so that when it comes around in 2029, they do it. I'm interested to see what happens we talked about it 2 weeks ago, the labor negotiations coming up. What do they do about the Olympics? Because you heard Bryce Harper say, this would be cool. I want to win. I want to represent my country. He used to do it as an up-and-coming player, a prep kid. He wanted desperately to play in this tournament, but he also wants to play in the Olympics. Kind of tough to do because it'll be in LA in August 2028 in the back third of the Major League Baseball season.
Yeah. Which, by the way, Dodgers just going to be on like a 3-week road trip.
Yeah, I don't know. It'll be interesting to see what comes up.
I can see them just making the Angels like go on a 3-week road trip and the Dodgers get to play their normal schedule.
I don't think anyone's going to cry for them.
No.
So, I mean, I would like to see Major League Baseball take a break for the Olympics, and I'd like to see the big stars play, especially because it's on American soil. Yeah. It's back in the winter games are back for the first time in 32 years in the United States. And you have guys who want to play. Now, it's 2 years from now, and I know Phillies ownership has said Bryce isn't elite anymore, so maybe Team USA is going to believe that too in a couple of years. But yeah, Justin. So let's talk Phillies now that we've got 20 minutes of the show left to go.
That's all right.
Let's talk Phillies. So it feels like once again we're running back the run back of the run back.
I know the Phillies organization doesn't really like that term analogy. I think because of the connotation that it's kind of giving, that like, oh, we're just going to try the same thing again. But that's exactly what they're doing. Like,
feels that way for sure.
Right. They are just going to try and do it again. Now, listen, it is perfectly fine to do that. Like they're not like a terrible team that is like running it back, and just continuing to just take those shared revenue dollars and, just not do it. Like it's not what we were complaining about 2 weeks ago. They've had success. Like, and I know this brings us zero comfort. I've brought it up on the show before about how the Dodgers, this was one of the things that came out of the winter meetings. The Dodgers as an organization, not necessarily to a man, in like each person down the line, but the Dodgers organization has stated to reporters that they felt lucky to get past the Phillies. They were not confident. I shouldn't say confident. They had confidence, but that was their biggest worry was the Phillies and that they got by them, but they also know that they got lucky and got by them. And so like, and that's part of this discussion we've also had. Like, I know the Dodgers are very good and that it is frustrating that, they are just seemingly the rich keep getting richer and richer and all that stuff. But at the same time, it's not to me like they are like just blowing the doors off of everyone and no one can compete.
Right.
Like Toronto had their chances to
Felt
beat
like
them
they
and they
won,
didn't.
yeah.
The Phillies had their chances to beat them and didn't. Like, it's not like the Dodgers beat the Phillies in 3 games and won each one 8-0. Like it's not. Teams have a chance to win and they're just not doing it. So like it's again, the Phillies could they get it done? Possibly. It's just what have I seen that makes me think they will? That it'll be different this year? Like, do I feel like this team is better than last year's team? Maybe. I don't know. Like, it's hard to say. I don't know that the pieces they got are significant enough to swing it one way or the other. Like I don't think. Like, I think you could almost put anyone out there in right field, and I'd feel about the same over Castellanos. Like, and that's a shame because that's taking away from what he did. And he did some nice things while he was in Philadelphia. But he wasn't... Was there any point in time where Castellanos was one of the top 3 players for the Phillies? And I'd say, yes, there were stretches where he was, but I'd say those were the down stretches. Like, they were areas... There were times when it was a problem. You know what I mean? So, like... All right, so you're losing a guy who's not in the top third, and you replace him with another guy who probably won't be in the top third. But, like, I don't know. I just feel like there could be some pleasant surprises. I think this team, if this team were to get over the hump and, get back to the World Series, or if the offense has a different feel to it other than just we're going to smash home runs and nothing else, it's going to come down to the young guys. If the young guys can produce a spark, and maybe that's the big thing I kind of look at this year. Do some of these young guns that they have been holding on to dearly over the last few years, will they provide us with a sense of, hey, the window is still open for this year and maybe as we continue to transition into the upcoming years? Or is this we have this year, maybe one more, and then we're going to have to blow this thing up? Like that's the question I think for the Phillies this year with some of these young pieces is what is this year, but also what does this future look like? Because if young guys look good, then all of a sudden, hey, that window might not be as wide open as it was 4 years ago, but it's still open and we've propped it and it's not going to close right now. We've still got, and then you start to retool. Whereas if it's like, they're giving up on guys, and then it could get ugly.
So the Phillies have increased their win total every year for the last, 4 years? The magical 2022 run came up short then in 2023, frustratingly so, and then imploded again in October in 2024 and 2025. Those 2 seasons, though, Justin, they were division champions, right? And the expectations were just as high as 2023, where they felt like that they collapsed and they lost their opportunity, and then they shot out of a cannon to start 2024, but then faded after the bye to the Mets, and then same thing last year, faded after the bye into the divisional round, and it was a frustrating loss to the Dodgers last year. And like you said it, that the Dodgers felt lucky to get past the Phillies. I don't know that I ever felt that way. I never really felt Philadelphia was the better team.
No,
felt like they were competitive, but
right.
Too many mistakes.
Well, and I did feel in part that way, though, because like I feel like we were kind of stuck in this, like, you could see it coming because it just felt so familiar to the previous few years.
And it's all hitting. Like,
Yes.
it's not, there's not, I mean, look, I know it ended on a pitcher brain fart, essentially.
Right.
But
the
I
problem
don't
in the
blame
series,
the pitchers.
The problem
right.
in the series was we didn't score
Well,
runs.
the final was 2-1, wasn't it? In
Yeah.
that, like, come on. You are a professional, and I know. Look, over the years, I've given baseball crap for it being a not super athletic, team sport. However, we've discussed this. Hitting a baseball is probably the most difficult thing you can ask any athlete to try to do.
Yeah.
Okay, so like you can get into overall strength and endurance and coordination about whatever and talk about boxing and ice hockey and football and soccer. Baseball probably isn't up there in terms of the overall athletic qualities. However, the hand-eye coordination, the patience, and the mental acuity to put your bat where a baseball that's probably flying at nearly 100 miles per hour somewhere in your vicinity. Oh, but that could also be 20 miles per hour shorter and curve at the last second. It is the most difficult thing to do in all of sports. So I get that it's tough. However, this team was supposed to be built on offense, and then all of a sudden it became a pitching team, which is cool because pitching generally can win you championships. But you got to score more than 1 or 2 runs
Right.
to get it done because the pitching is not failing them. The pitching has been what has saved them and kept them in the playoffs the last 3 seasons.
Right.
And what helped get them to the World Series 4 years
If I
ago.
would have told you we were going to lose Zach Wheeler at the end of the season, not have him for the playoffs, and pitching was still going to be the strength in the playoffs, you would have known exactly how it's going to go.
Right. Yeah.
And that's the problem.
So before we get into what we think is going to happen this year, let's just quickly run through what's going on with the roster. So Justin already mentioned Nick Castellanos was shown the door. He had a year left, around $20 million, and they're just eating that up. I don't know if there's offset language in baseball contracts or the way that releases and waivers and things like that work.
If he's picked up on waivers,
Was
think
he
there
though?
was
I don't
some-
know.
No, I think they just,
So he went all the way
yeah.
through. So Phillies are probably paying all of that salary. He's now with the San Diego Padres, so it's a very real chance we could see him and in meaningful
Yeah.
games in October. I think he was playing some first base for them, which is interesting because he's always been an outfielder and has an interesting personality, which came out in this offseason of what happened with him and the team from that end of June issue down in Miami up until the end of the season, until finally now he was sent packing. So it seems that he lost the clubhouse, or the clubhouse, I don't want to say turned on him, but they were kind of over it as well. The coaching staff, I'm sure, was over it, and ownership knew that it was time to move on. So Castellanos is gone. In his place is Adolis Garcia, who is the latest one-year reclamation project by Dave Dombrowski. He was with the Phillies' first opponent of the season, Texas Rangers, last year. And he's another guy kind of like low risk, high reward. Like all you're looking to do is replace the right field production. And it was hit or miss with Castellanos the last few years. Might as well take a chance on another guy that has potential, but we're kind of waiting to see him put it all together, even at this point of his career. The Phillies also resigned 2 big key pieces in Kyle Schwarber and JT Realmuto. Schwarber, by and large, up until October, felt like there was no way they weren't going to resign him. And then the October struggles hit him again. And I think in our group chat, we said, look, I didn't think there was any way Phillies would move on from him. But after the way this went again, if they did, I'd probably still be upset, but I'd understand.
Right.
However, it didn't happen. They gave him, a 5-year deal to be back as the DH. And they also, and this is a big thing, and I think in baseball sometimes it's more impactful than maybe a few of the other team sports, he's a locker room guy.
Yeah.
I don't want to call him a vibes guy in the way that Stubbs is
right.
referred to.
But it is a big deal because it's not just like, and I don't mean to downplay it in like football or something, but baseball season, they get in that locker room at the beginning of February, and then they're in that locker room.
Yeah.
The bad teams are even in the locker room till the end of September.
Right. It's a long time.
And every day, long road trips. Like a road trip in football generally consists of you fly out Friday or Saturday, and then you come home late Sunday night into Monday morning.
And you're off Monday or Tuesday, depending on the way the game went.
It's just different,
Yeah, and it's a slightly shorter season. I mean, baseball, hockey, and basketball have longer seasons than football.
They just have that grind.
Yeah,
it's
well,
that
in
grind
baseball,
of a season.
I mean, look, there's only 17 games, not counting playoffs in the NFL. Basketball and hockey, pro basketball and hockey in the United States is at 82, although NHL is moving to 84 or 86, I think, here soon. They're going the wrong direction. I
Which
think
is funny because NBA is going to go the other direction.
I think the NBA and NHL should probably be down at like 72.
Yeah.
68 to 72. We've talked about this. I think MLB could drop off as well. But 162 games, that's a long season. So, yes, the locker room very important, and they got Schwarber for another 5 years. They also brought back Romuto on a 3-year deal. Look, I love JT and what he's done he feels like he's been here a long time now. It was a very surprising trade when they got him from the Marlins, but he's been here this is his 3rd contract with the team.
Right.
Second time he's re-signed. And when he re-signed before 2020, we were like, you have to re-sign him. He's the best player at the hardest position in the major leagues. Well, this is at least the second, if not the 3rd straight year that he's declined, both defensively and offensively.
And what do you do in baseball with your aging, declining production catcher who's still good enough to play?
Where do you put
him?
First base or DH?
Right. And
Can't
both
do
of
that.
those spots are
Taken.
filled for the Phillies.
Taken.
And so, that becomes a problem. The
thing
I
is,
love JT.
Right.
But, man, it's got to be tough.
I think what the Phillies were looking at is he's still their best option from what they have. They couldn't find a better option in the trade or free agent market, so you had to suck it up and sign him. Now, he has proven, because he's so cerebral, being very good with the ABS system.
Yes.
He's great coaching the pitches,
Yes.
the pitchers, and calling for pitches and when to take time. He's not as great popping and throwing out runners. That's gotten worse the last 3 years. Each year it's gotten worse. And he's lost his pop. And that's what you see from a catcher who wants to catch 100 games a year.
Right.
So generally you take that if the defense stays high, but unfortunately JT is declining, and now I don't know if he's a top 5 catcher in Major League Baseball anymore, which sucks because catcher's my favorite position. JT's been one of my favorite players for a long time. I understand why they needed to do it because Marchand is average. I like him, but I still think JT's better.
Yeah.
So if you're trying to win and you have someone that's better than the guy you have, what are you going to do?
Right.
You're going to bring him back.
Right. I get that. But do you then not pay him? Because it wouldn't have hurt you on the luxury tax to let him go. It's not like a Castellanos situation. He was a free agent.
Yeah.
And use that money to try and sign someone else,
But I don't who though. I think that was the biggest thing. Who are you going to get?
Well,
that's going to match his production.
They had one. Well, not a catcher. I meant somewhere else.
Oh, you mean somewhere? I got you.
Dump it into another position where they lost out on some free agents, some of which they thought they had.
You're talking about Bo Bichette.
I'm talking about Bo Bichette. Yeah. Who is going to get booed mercilessly in Philly?
Oh, he's
going to
get obliterated. Yeah, he's going to get it. He's going to hear it. So the Phillies also re-signed or extended Christopher Sanchez again, which they had just done less than 2 years ago. He's now under team control through 2032. But I mean, he has pitched lights out. He has been just an amazing addition since the Phillies started going on this run 4 years ago. And Jesus Luzardo was, I think, entering arbitration or was on the final year of his deal. He's got a 5-year extension that starts in next season, and he'll be in Philadelphia long term. Obviously, the Phillies lost Ranger Suarez, which is disappointing, but we kind of knew that was coming.
He pitched too well.
Yeah, you're doing too good.
He was too good. You knew you weren't going to be able to afford him.
So they didn't really sign any starters. There's no one from outside the organization that's stepping in. Who it's going to be, and you mentioned this in terms of the young guns, Andrew Painter is going to be the guy that has to come in and fill the departure of Ranger Suarez. So we were hoping it maybe would come at some point last year. Didn't really get to that point, but now it's got to be this year. And he's the guy that everyone thought was a slam dunk #1 pitcher once he was established in the majors.
Right. And he's going to be that full season removed from the Tommy John now. The really 2 full season. He has the season comeback already. So like this is the year when they look for that Tommy John, those guys to really.
Because he had the surgery in April or May 2023, something like that.
Yeah. So last year was his first year back,
First
and
full
then,
season,
and then
yeah.
they hope like it's usually that next year where they hope to really see things go. So just something to keep an eye on. If he outperforms that quote unquote fifth starter position, that's a good sign for the
Yes,
Phillies.
sure.
If they're looking for options of, we need a fifth starter, that's a bad option for the Phillies.
Yeah. So that's kind of the trade. Lose Suarez, add Painter. They also traded Matt Strahm, who was one of my favorites. I'm sad to see him go. They sent him to the Royals. They also let Harrison Bader go on free agency. He landed with the Giants. They brought in Brad Keller and Zach Pop as relievers. And I guess the biggest thing, though, Justin, is we mentioned Andrew Painter taking over as a starter, fourth or fifth slot in the rotation. Then they're going to rely on a new guy in center field because not only has Johan Rojas not cemented himself as the long-term answer, despite them giving him a lot of opportunities to do so, he's now suspended for 80 games for performance-enhancing drugs. He's not eligible to come back till like the end of June. I don't know if he was going to break camp with the big league team anyways, but
right. And this is honestly because of the situation. I feel like seeing Johan Rojas in a Phillies uniform before expanded rosters potentially, I think is a bad sign for the Phillies this year. If you bring him up as a speedy guy with expanded rosters come September, then I could see him maybe earning a spot then. But I don't like if you see him before then, it's not a good sign for the Phillies.
No, it's not. So, Justin Crawford will be the everyday center fielder.
I'm excited
which
about
puts
that.
Brandon Marsh in left field. We talked about the newly signed Adolis Garcia. He's going to be your right fielder, and the infield is the same. It's been the same. This is the fourth year.
Right.
This is the fourth year, isn't it?
Yeah, and you thought there was a lot of talk that Bohm could have been gone. There was talk that Stott could be gone.
There's talk that Marsh could be gone. There was
Right,
those three, what used to be referred to as the daycare, not looking so daycare-ish anymore as they move into their late 20s.
But if you get some of those guys to have, I don't want to say their career best years, but years they are capable of. Like if Stott has a year he's capable of. If Bohm has a year he's capable of. Marsh has a year he's capable of. That's good. But like you need these guys at their career averages or honestly slightly above. Like that's what you need in order for this team to maybe get over the hump. And honestly, this is the tough part, but like nothing this team shows me other than maybe young guy, really good success. But even then I'll be like, well, they don't have that experience in the postseason yet. Like nothing's going to like prepare me to think that it's going to be different than the last few years. Like until we get to the playoffs and you see it happen.
Right. So it'll be Marsh, Crawford, Garcia in the outfield. It'll be Bohm, Turner, Stott, and Harper in the infield. Realmuto, catcher.
Our starting pitching staff, though.
Starting pitchers, so let's run through that. We pretty much have mentioned them all already. I believe, is Sanchez getting the opening day start?
I think he is.
So Sanchez is going to be your one. Is Luzardo your two?
I don't know.
Well,
I feel like Nola would be the two.
You think Nola's the two? So it's Christopher Sanchez, Aaron Nola, Jesus Luzardo, Taijuan Walker, and Andrew Painter because Zach Wheeler will start on the IL. Right. I think he was aiming for no later than May. I don't know if we'll see him in April.
I was hoping to get him like one or two starts before the All-Star break and then give it like that in my mind. Like I would love for the Phillies to be I'd love for the Phillies to be in a position where you don't have to rush him back. Let him get a couple starts, then he has off for the All-Star break. And despite Zach Wheeler's loving to be in a set routine, I don't care. That hasn't worked. And so now let's get you a couple starts, start ramping you up, and then have him hit stride in July, August. And imagine adding a fresh Zach Wheeler to the team come June. Like that's one of those moves where like you don't see, like you don't, like that wouldn't be a trade, but that could be something that like is better than a trade because you're not going to trade for a Zach Wheeler more times than not.
Unlikely,
So like adding a Zach Wheeler to the rotation in June could be fantastic.
So the Phillies still have Johan Duran, Durantula is back and has a full season in Philadelphia. The bridge to him was most likely going to be Orion Kirkring. I think he's also starting the year on the IL, so that's the opportunity for Alvarado and Banks and Brad Keller, the newly signed Brad Keller, Max Lazar. Is it Lazar or Laser?
Dude, I have no idea.
Why did you know these things? Zach Pop again
Because
recently
I have to wait
added.
for T-Mac to tell me when we're watching baseball.
So we'll see what happens there. I know that Dylan Campbell, I think it was, is making the opening day roster. Otto Kemp and Edmundo Sosa or utility infielders. I don't know what's going to happen with Garrett Stubbs yet. Did he play at all in Philadelphia last year? I don't know that he did. He might have spent the whole year at Lehigh Valley.
Did Marshawn get hurt at one point?
He might have. Maybe near the end of the year he might have. I don't remember.
Yeah,
but
or you know what? Stubbs came up on the expanded rosters.
in September.
Yeah, he
Okay.
became the third catcher at that point.
Another few relief pitchers to listen for is Tim Miza, Lou Trevino, and Daniel Robert, who had a medical emergency. He actually had major internal health issues on Halloween that led to an implantation.
Which is a crazy story that there's about how he was working out at Philadelphia, at Phillies facilities, because this is one of those things where you hear things all the time that happen away from facilities, and teams love when guys work out at facilities because it's a controlled setting.
Right.
And he had a cardiac medical emergency back in October. And
on Halloween.
And the training staff was there and immediately was able to save his life.
They had to use an AED, I believe.
Right. Yes, they saved his life, and he was able to get essentially a pacemaker put in.
And today he had an issue with it.
Right.
He had
it went
a
off.
medical issue.
Right. Yeah, he had an issue. The pacemaker goes off. Now, pacemakers also signal to the doctors.
Hey, I have a problem
right.
here.
And so, they were able to, again, treat him and get him to the hospital and get the treatment he needs. But that's scary, and who knows what that is going to entail.
Yeah, well, I don't know anymore.
Beyond
Just
the baseball,
wanted to,
that's a scary situation. Just
thoughts and prayers to
Yes.
him. You just
Yeah.
make sure he makes a full recovery. But wanted to point that out because it was something that happened literally this
Right.
morning or early this afternoon. So, all right, last thing we want to say, Justin. I know that went long. We didn't really talk about anyone else. Obviously, the Dodgers are the odds-on favorite to win their third World Series in a row. They're going to be kings of the National League likely again. The Phillies won 96 games last year. Where do you have them this year?
I put him at 94 wins.
Okay. You're way more optimistic than I because I don't have them hitting 90 this year.
Ooh, okay.
I have them
Okay.
at 88 wins on the season. I just look everyone that I just mentioned is all a year older. I don't know if Garcia is going to be an upgrade over Castellanos, but if Harper Turner, who had a fantastic year last year, by the way, but if Harper, Turner, Schwarber all regress and Bowman, Stott and Remuto, and Bowman, Stott are who we thought they were, who they've been the last few years, they're not getting more than 96 wins.
No, you're right.
So I fail to see it. And obviously, and look, I hate the Mets, but they've gotten better.
Yeah.
They added Bo Bichette. I know they lost Edwin Diaz. Guess who he went to? Oh, that's right, the Los Angeles Dodgers. But I just think that their young pitching also could pose a problem. You know, one of them was starting the championship game for Team USA in McLean. So I just and that's nothing to say about what the Braves have. You know, honestly, the Braves could be the best team in the NL East. If they won the division, would I be shocked? No, I would not. I don't really give much to the Nationals and Marlins. I don't think that they're much of anything, but I think Phillies, Mets, and Braves could all win the division, and that's not good for the Phillies to have two other teams that are going to be right there in the grand scheme of things. So I got to have them going back. I don't have them reaching 90 wins. I hope I'm wrong. I hope I'm wrong. But I am looking forward for baseball being back.
Hey, but to be honest, even if they don't win the division, if they
just make the playoffs.
so you have a shot. That's what they need to do. Make the playoffs.
Yep. That's all I want. Yeah, I mean, I would love to win the division for a
we've
third straight
proven winning
season.
the division doesn't help us in terms of progressing in the playoffs.
Yeah, it certainly hasn't helped the NL East winner for the last handful of years, that's for sure. So we'll see what happens. But baseball is back overall Wednesday on, Netflix. Netflix has the season opening game that is Yankees at Giants. Interesting interleague matchup to start the season.
Hate that. Not the Netflix thing. Whatever.
Right, because who doesn't have Netflix?
But Interleague to start the season, you know what?
Weird.
Get rid of Interleague. Go back to National League and American League.
It's run its course over the last 30-plus years. Phillies start on Thursday, but then we'll off on Friday. They host the Texas Rangers at CBP on Thursday, 4:15, I think. Christopher Sanchez on the mound. I'm so excited for baseball to be back. It's been a long, hard winter, and it's fantastic that this is starting again. So watch them Thursday, off Friday, Saturday, Sunday against the Texas Rangers. And Justin and I will be back in 1 week, March 29th, for episode 436. We'll talk about the first few games on the Phillies schedule, and I don't know, maybe we'll come up with one of those games that we'll play something, guess this, pick that, all times list, something. We'll figure it out. But, so that's it for us here on the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show. Episode 435 is over. We thank you for listening, and we'll be back in 1 week's time. So... anything else to say, Justin?
No.
All right. We'll see you in a week. Take care, everyone.
That's a wrap on this episode of the Joe Mays and J-Raff Show, brought to you by Mays Sandwich Shop. Woo-hoo! You can watch each weekly episode live on Facebook, Periscope, or YouTube. Be sure to like, follow, or subscribe to the show on Facebook, Twitter, YouTube, SoundCloud, Apple Podcasts, and Google Play. You can also rate and review us on many of these platforms as well. We'd love to hear from you. Send your emails to the Mays Sandwich Shop inbox at joemaysandjraff@gmail.com. The Joe Mays and J-Raff Show is a part of the JMNJR Radio Network, home to other productions such as the Bulldog Hour, Tangents with Friends, and Nat Chats with Dad. Until next time.